to another month's readings. A different writer, different ways of doing things, and this writer is very well known to me. I'll tell you who in a second. It's Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings. He is my senior minister. Reverend Lisa, who reads in the mornings, and myself are assistant ministers. Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings is our senior minister, and then we have a distant minister who's called the staff minister. Staff minister, who is Reverend Katie Roxbury-Gotti, and then we have a whole bunch of practitioners. Anyway, so I have to be really careful what I say because he's written the whole month's writings. His speciality in this regard is, what has happened here? Hold on. His speciality in this regard is Ernest Holmes. Ernest Holmes was the founder of, anyway, it's going to come up in the reading, so I'm just going to read what's here. The cover is by Naya Rivera, who says, butterflies can't see their wings. They can't see how truly beautiful they are, but everyone else can. People are like that as well. And this is what Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings has to say. Hold on a second. Here we go. Ernest Holmes and Dr. Jesse Jennings. Theoretically, the writings this month are two people. There's actually a big quote from Ernest Holmes, and then Jesse Jennings is going to comment on it. So technically there's two, but really there's kind of one and a half. And I'll let you guess who the half is. And this is what Reverend Jesse's got to say. October being the anniversary of our magazine, published continuously since 1927. This month's daily guides are the words of our founder, Ernest Holmes. I have the honor of adding a bit of commentary to each day's selection. Most likely another statement. That's my comment on that. You're encouraged to seek out the book from which Holmes' passages are drawn. They'll offer you the broadest context to his ideas, especially if you're new to this material. Still, the gist is simple and direct. God is all there is. The universe is one whole system, fully intelligent and purposeful at every point, and each one of us is one of those points. This awareness changes everything. We realize we partake of an unmediated connection with the all. Prayer is now more than just words mumbled into the darkness. We begin to accept and cherish ourselves as we are, while growing into new choices. This emboldens us to see and support the best in others, practice genuine compassion, and manage the complexities of daily life before a backdrop of joyous expectancy. The closing affirmations each day are by Ernest Holmes from his book, This Thing Called You. Ernest Holmes, Ernest S. Holmes, Ernest Shirtliff Holmes, if you like, 1887 to 1960, was a philosopher, a teacher, prolific author, and an internationally recognized authority on religious psychology. He founded the religious science movement, sometimes called Science of Mind, now known as Centers for Spiritual Living, as well as the magazine from which I'm reading this. Contributing editor Jesse G. Jennings compiled the books The Essential Ernest Holmes and More Than We Seem, a collection of his question and answer columns spanning 30 years, published last year by Spiritual Living Press, and a lot more. He's a great teacher. He is an authority on Ernest Holmes, on Science of Mind, or religious science, if you prefer to call it that. So let's go on with it. Yeah. So here we go. If my computer doesn't mess me up, here we go. First quote is from Margaret Anderson, and my computer is behaving kind of wackily here. I didn't know who she was. I looked her up, and I think because Anderson's quite a common name and Margaret's not an uncommon name, I think this is who he was talking about. She was the American founder, editor, and publisher of the art and literary magazine, The Little Review, which published a collection of modern American, English, and Irish writers between 1914 and 1929. And I do believe that's who he's talking about. And I got to, it's a little bit bigger. This is Ernest Holmes from, guess where again? 365 Science of Mind, published in 2001. Of course, he passed away in 1960. Pages 60 and 72. There is no individual good. Good belongs to everyone. Good fulfills itself only as it multiplies itself. Therefore, there is no good that belongs to you and to me alone. No final piece to us, only as individuals. The watchword is not exclusion, but inclusion. And the more good we release, the more good we experience. First quote. The second one is, there is one spirit incarnated in everyone, an immortal presence forever expanding everything, causing everything to grow. What a difference it would make in our human relations if we tried to sense the meaning of this divine incarnation in all people and adjust our viewpoint to the truth that all are bound together in the unity of God. And as I said, that was from 365 Science of Mind, published in 2001, pages 60 and 72. And this is from Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings himself. Our good is public, not private. It's part of the literal common wealth. Yes, we hold title to what we own and are the proprietors of our industries, but nothing is ever achieved without the engagement of others. Not to mention the subconscious mind we rely on to manifest anything that doesn't even make a hard distinction between ourselves and anyone else. That's how close we are. What we affirm for others is held in account for us as well. Loving one another by means of honoring the divinity in all is both a sweet moral sentiment and an act of self-support, because what goes around absolutely comes around. Inclusion and genuine welcoming begin in the heart, to emanate from there outward into collective policies and practices toward a world that works for everyone. So if you want to look at it another way, every single thing is interconnected. That's one thing. And what we want for ourselves, we ought to want for others, because, as Reverend Jesse said, what goes around comes around. Eventually, you can see lots of examples of it apparently not appearing to happen, and lots of examples of it appearing to happen. But trust me, eventually, in the final analysis, what goes around comes around. So I'm not going to comment too much on it. One, because it's my boss who wrote it. And secondly, I think it's pretty self-evident. You know, my wife doesn't like the way that Ernest Holmes writes. And when she read it last night before she went to sleep, she said, "Oh, that's not bad." So what that tells me is I don't need to do much unpacking, because she liked it, which is good. The affirmation is, right now I'm filled with joy. Right now I am filled with joy. So if you knew, excuse me, I've been in at yawn too much, I have to go to a business meeting. So if my computer, since I upgraded the software, as I mentioned on a bunch of occasions, really has gone wild. Anyway, I'm just going to end by saying this. Reverend Lisa will be on tomorrow morning at 9, between 9 and 9:30. I'll be back tomorrow, somewhere around about 5 o'clock. It's always good to have somebody who can interpret something. And this month, it's actually Jesse Jennings who is interpreting Ernest Holmes. And believe me, that is something that often needs doing, because Ernest Holmes, as I said, is not the simplest person to understand by far. So when you get an expert who studied Ernest Holmes for 40 years, it's really good to have that person interpreting him, as Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings is this month. And as I said, that's really all I gotta say. And if I can get back to my original screen, I can let you go and I can get onto my business meeting. So yeah, if today's reading has been a bit disjointed, I apologize. I will be back on track tomorrow. So until next time, take care of yourselves. Namaste.